Welcome to another episode of Pacific Matters. My name is Thomas Manglona, reporting on Saipan outside of the CNMI Governor's Office. We have another CNMI Decision 2022 interview, this time with the independent ticket, Lieutenant Governor Arnold Palacios and Mayor David Apatang. Thank you, LT and Mayor, for joining us. This is your headquarters here in Garapan, and this is where much of the work is happening for your independent ticket. And we've interviewed you both before about this campaign, so we'll go ahead and jump right in. LT, I just wanted to take us back to the moment you decided to run as governor. It's safe to say it's no easy choice for a sitting lieutenant governor to decide to challenge his former running mate. So when was the exact moment you knew you wanted to be governor?
Probably around October of last year. And, it took me many months of thinking about it and reflection. But after almost 4 or 6 months of thinking about it and talking to members of the community, and a lot of times I wasn't the one that's bringing this up because it wasn't something that I really wanted in the beginning to pursue. It wasn't really there, but as members of the community encouraged me to seriously think about it. And you're right. One of the real obstacle in that decision is I'm going to be challenging the governor who I ran with in the last election, and the other maybe not so significant at the time and substantive at the time was I'm going to be running independent, and the infrastructure is not there. So it's going to be another challenge. But be that as it may, when the time to either make a decision, I talked to families and friends and a lot of folks that were encouraging us to consider it. I talked to them and I said, it's going to be a challenge, but I'm willing to take on that challenge if you guys are going to be behind me, and so that was in probably around October of last year when I made decision. Of course, the decision was made also with the mayor in mind. I wanted to make sure that my running mate has a solid background and that he's going to be somebody that has experience to be able to help me address the present issues that we're facing. And so that's why I chose that I asked the mayor to consider running with me and consider running for the people.
And Mayor, do you recall that conversation, and did you have gubernatorial aspirations before this?
Well, actually I was thinking about retiring, and when the lieutenant governor approached me and asked me if I could join him, my heart is always for the people, especially now that, I see what's happening throughout the Commonwealth. I've been a public servant for many years, in the government. Served over 30 years in the various department, and then the legislature and the mayor's office for almost 8 years. So just thinking about leaving the mayor's office after 8 years, it's not my dream. My dream when I left the military was to come back and continue to serve our people in the Commonwealth. And when the lieutenant asked me, I said I will gladly accept that challenge and work with him. So that's why I'm with him in this venture. hopefully our people here in the Commonwealth look at us, that we have the experience, that we can move this Commonwealth forward and bring this government back to where it's supposed to be. Get the government to our people where they have a voice, you know, and we need to address a lot of the issues that have been going on here in our government and in the community. There's a lot of things that needs to be done. And I can do it as a lieutenant governor. I can work with the governor. I know what needs to be done in the Commonwealth. Same goes to Tinian, Rhode Island, and of course our people back in the States. You know, I met a lot of them during the Labor Day activities, and it's very humble that a lot of people came over and approached me. You know, as I go around, spend 3 days with those people in the States. Very beautiful event. Hopefully they'll have a bigger one next year in Portland.
I think among the three choices this year, many look to this ticket as the one with political experience. And so I wanted to ask you, LT, how you think your past legislative experience continues to inform or will inform your work as the governor?
Well, you know, I spent 8 years in the House of Representatives. And again, you know, I really reluctantly and never really planned to run for the House, but when I decided to do it, I put my whole heart and soul basically into serving our people in that capacity. And so one of the driving force that and continues to inspire me today, when I first started my political career, was, you know, my family, my father was served in elected office with, in fact, served in elected office with the late Mayor Manglona, Benjamin Manglona, and Councilor Magnesia. So I kind of grew up with a political background in my family, but I really didn't get inspired too much. In fact, to some extent, it was like very discouraging because I've watched my dad sacrificed a lot of his time, his family time, in service of the people. And I at first I like, maybe I don't want this life, you know, but I remember being inspired by, like, if you want to make change, don't just complain, don't just stay on the sidelines. You got to get in there and try to help in any way you can. And so when folks asked me, you know, consider running, I was like in my 40s when I first started. I did that, and I made a simple platform for myself, and that is the economy, environment, and education, and health. That's basically, and I said, if I can get a really good piece of legislation in each of these areas, I think I would be, in my freshman year, I would be in good shape. So, you know, one of the really key legislation that we authored and still support, and Mayor was there with me when he was in the House, was when I introduced the bill to create SHEPA, the Saipan Higher Education Financial Assistance Program. And my driving force was, I looked at Tinian and Rhoda, and the two jurisdictions had their own local scholarship financial aid program, scholarship program, and I said, why isn't Saipan having one? So we worked on that, and I was able to shepherd that through the House and to the local Saipan delegation. Mind you, it was kind of controversial because it required us to increase the poker fees. And to this day, I'm very glad I did it. To this day, that program is still in existence and continues to provide financial assistance and access to the higher education for our children. Whether you're going to NMC or you're in University of Guam or you're going off island, that continues to up to 3,000 students, including bachelor's, associates degrees, bachelor's degrees, masters, and even, you know, PhDs. That continues to be a major source of assistance for a lot of our people.
And I wanted to shift to your current platform. You were talking about just entering the House with those goals in mind. Rebuilding trust is your slogan. You explained what that meant early on. In your words, you told me that you felt like the Republican Party has lost its way. So what is your platform now, and what do you mean when you say rebuilding trust?
You know, it's not so much today, it's not so much just the Republican Party. A lot of things has happened and since we got elected to office. Most gut-wrenching event that occurred 10 months after I was sworn in as Lieutenant Governor. You know, as we all know, everybody in the world knows, FBI raided the governor's office and his residence and all that. So there's that issue that continues to linger, and so that a lot of the trust factor of our community has gone south. And a lot of people is like, what is going on? And you hear talks around the community about, you know, the situation that we're in with that, and then fast forward, the House of Representatives in the 20th legislature did that, started looking into allegations that the public were calling to their attention, and then the 21st legislature, that took another, you know, it occupied a lot of the time of the legislature. And so, in a nutshell, a lot of our community's members have lost the trust in its own government, confidence. And not only our own community, but even in the regional communities, people around the communities are regional communities like, oh, what's going on with the Commonwealth? And so Gabe and I have had long histories of simply solving problems.
What are some of the big ticket policy items that you're hoping to get right into during your first 100 and then beyond that day?
Let me ask you to think, chime in on the rebuilding trust issue.
Okay.
And then we'll go through it.
Well, you know, rebuilding trust is a big word, actually. We know what's going on right now in our government. And in order for us to get our government back, we're supposed to be, you know, we need to make sure that our financial system is taken care of. We need to follow procurement policy. We need to have trust from the people. You know, none of these side contracts and all that things that are going on right now. People are talking outside and they're not happy. I'm not happy either. You know, twice my bill for operation have been vetoed because maybe a political issue, but that's okay. We can continue to provide the service for our people here on Saipan, whenever we can or whatever we have. So frustrating And we need to work on our finances in the government. We need to stop all these unnecessary expenditures that are going around. They have to be legal contracts. I mean, I don't put it out on bid and make it legal. You know, I was the procurement officer for this government before, for many years. And I know what's going on. You don't need to force the director to do this or what, you know, or else. Because that's what's going on. People demanding payment on a service that's not even, you know, there's no contract. Those are the things that we need to take a look at if we are in there. Audit this government, audit all local accounts, and ask for federal audit, and we need to start from there.
All right, and LT, when it comes, and you as well, Mayor, when it comes to some of the big ticket policy issues, what are some of the first issues you're going to get your hands on?
Well, in the first, like you said, the first 100 days is we're going to do a complete assessment, and hopefully that by that time, you know, if we go, let's say we get into office, we have that transition period, and we're going to do a lot of hard work, doing an evaluation and assessment of where we're at, and then once we're there, we're going to tackle the economy and even the expenditure level of our government, the public service. I'm not saying that we're going to stop spending funds, but I think we need to begin to prioritize and look at the real priorities of where we're putting our federal assistance and even our local revenues. Where are we putting it? Are they really being used in the right manner, in the right time? I'll give you a case in point. I'm going to be very honest, and this might trigger some criticisms out there. You know, we subsidized 3 airlines in the Korean market, and we subsidized hotels to stay open for the tourists that we subsidized airfare from, and we also provided them vouchers to spend on Saipan. Why did we do that? Okay, is that to jumpstart the tourism industry, which is the prime driver of our economy? Is that the reason for it? I was floored when that initiative came out and said, why are we doing this? You know, what in the midst of a closure of the market in Korea, we're deciding a travel bubble that really didn't do much. Guam didn't do it, and they're beginning to have a robust Korea travel results. And so sometimes we need to step back and say, what is it that we're trying to do? You know, and is it going to work? Really, is it going to work? When those tourists came to Saipan, there was a very restricted. It was a very restricted activities, and so who benefited from that? The airlines, the hotels that are participating, and limited amount of small businesses or big businesses for the vouchers. So those kind of things is like we're going to really assess. I personally don't believe that we should have done it at that time. Perhaps this is the time because the markets are opening up. Maybe this is the time to incentivize it, and that's like, it was just completely wrong.
LT, I just want to shift to some of the challenges perhaps in your campaign or some of the criticisms. One line that you've said repeatedly that has caught people's attention in terms of your relationship with the governor is that you're not his babysitter. What do you have to say to those who say they're not they're not expecting someone to babysit the governor, but perhaps someone who would have had a stronger hand in holding him accountable.
Well, I have. I have done that. I have on many occasions, whether it's expenditure, how to look at expenditure, whether it's sole source contracting. I've returned contracts. I've returned contracts that was put on my desk for my signature. I said, I don't even sign this thing. This has to go back to the Attorney General and to have it taken a look at. But all those times that I've done that, I didn't go out on the newspaper or call up the Attorney General and say, hey, these guys are doing this. I just said, no, I'm not gonna do this. I'm gonna be very honest with you and to the people. I've had on many occasions, whether it's after U2 in the procurement process or lack of efforts to get our funding back and get reimbursed, whether it's after U2 or in the pandemic. I've cautioned the governor himself and even the Secretary of Finance and the COVID-19 task force that we need to ask the Attorney General and even the OPA to guide us on some of these things, and albeit it was an emergency situation, here are rules for that. And so, but I don't go out there and say, hey, I just told the governor, there's a lot of things that I've done and I've given counsel and advice about. At the end of the day, I'm only the guy that can counsel it. I actually, and I tell people, like, those in responsible positions, like, how much money have we already obligated for the pandemic? At one time, it was like, when I first asked that question, it was $65 million. I said, okay, we have obligated that, so how much have we been reimbursed? And everybody's like, deer in the headlights, zero. Have we even initiated the documentation, the required documentation to submit to that? I've done that. I've not gone out to the public and to the newspaper to say, I don't think any lieutenant governor would do that. You just try to help. But I notice that, and to my frustration sometimes, that when I do this, and I'm very blunt. I'm very blunt about these things. I've run federal programs. When I was at Fish and Wildlife, it was practically 100% federally funded. So I know some of the details that need to go in, and there's accountability, there's transparency issues. You have to be accountable to all that. I don't, so fast forward, even the members of the House of Representatives or in the 20th legislature who were Republicans, they called me out and said, Lieutenant, what should we do with this? We're seeing all these things. I said, no, you need to do what you have to do. You need to do what you have to do. Okay? Am I surprised that after all these months, when all the investigations and all the informations that are coming out, the Attorney General is now filing a criminal complaint against the governor for all these things? No. I mean, the OPA is the one that's supposed to be doing this, and the Attorney General has to make the determination whether to take it to court. And that's the, what would it have done if I had gone out and tattletale, so to speak, right at that time? But the fact of the matter is that I have counseled them, advised them. In fact, sometimes in the cabinet meeting or even in meetings with some of these key individuals that are running some of these the COVID-19 or even U2 reimbursements and expenditures, I sometimes start off my remarks by saying, I know I am probably the most unpopular lieutenant governor at this time because I'm gonna tell it as it is. I'm not gonna beat around the bush. Why did we obligate this? And now the federal government, FEMA, is not gonna reimburse us for $15 million, for example. You know, a lot of those things just went in one ear and out the other. I was only the lieutenant governor, and the bucks did not stop on my desk. Okay, let's be very frank about that. You know, of course, yeah, those are things that they're gonna throw at me. Why didn't I do this? Why didn't I do that? Well, if I'd done that, I was asked the Attorney General to go ahead and prosecute, but that's another process, and only he can make that decision.